Welcome to Ageless by Rescu. This podcast is devoted to exploring the science of rejuvenation, uncovering the most trusted experts, the must-have products, innovations, and technology in the field of vitality, aesthetics, new beauty, and cosmetic enhancement. Well, I am so thrilled to present Anna Heinrich today on Ageless by Rescu podcast. Welcome to the show. It's been a while in the making since I last saw you, I think about 4 years ago.
Yeah, could have actually even be longer. It was like, it just, time flies. And yeah, I do remember meeting you when I was an ambassador for Oral-B. So we had a really great chat. And actually one thing I remember that I think you took away from it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, was the intermittent fasting.
Yeah, I've been doing it.
I know. I remember talking about it because it was kind of like my husband sort of taught me about it. And then I remember talking about it back with you, however many years ago it was. And I just remember after you were saying, yeah, I now do it. So I'm glad you could take away something from that.
So one of the things that I love about doing this show is the opportunity to balance out inspirational people who are, living a lifestyle that's really aligned with their best life. So from a point of vitality, rejuvenation, longevity, and then also the scientists, doctors, allied health practitioners, experts who are at the forefront of the research side of things. And so for me, bringing those two worlds together is really important because sometimes the science is really bamboozling, and it's nice to have people that we know and admire who are walking the talk. So absolutely, when we spoke about intermittent fasting, which was 5 years ago, I was already curious about it, but then I met you and you were living it and you'd had the experience in it, and you'd learned that advice from someone, your husband, who is in allied health and really understands nutrition and wellness. So you didn't kind of pick it up from someone's Instagram account either. No. And so I investigated it, and I've been doing it really religiously for just over a year.
Wow.
And it was transformative. It helped me with brain fog, energy, sleep, weight loss, just about everything, mood. It's been a real game changer. And in all of the science of longevity, the number one thing that everyone points to as the first thing you can do to take control is intermittent fasting.
Yeah. No, I actually don't do it at the moment. I think I did it for, it was not religiously, but I did it for a number of years and I love it. And if I could do it now, I think since having my little girl, things have literally changed, like when it comes to when I eat, when I don't eat, and all those sorts of things, just because I'm trying to work around her schedule. So it's like very different, but I really do love it. And it doesn't have to be in the morning. It can kind of be throughout the day or whenever's the best time. Morning is normally the easiest because when you get up, you don't have to eat straight away. But yeah, I did love doing it and I did feel a change, but I feel like my body's changed now. So I'm kind of just working out what's best for my body now. And I think the thing is with health and well-being, it's always very individual. And what I say doesn't mean it's going to work for someone else. It's always about kind of getting in tune with your body and finding out really what works for you. And I think that's sort of one of the most important things for me, because what works for my husband is not going to work for me. I'm probably not going to work out as hard as my husband and do the things he does. So I'm always trying to find that balance, really.
So when we first met you was on the Bachelor program, yes, and you were in your 20s.
Yes.
And, we've seen you, as I said before, physically transform. You were working in law. You had like a really crazy busy life. You were younger. And definitely we've seen you physically transform. And, you've said to me before that intermittent fasting was a really big part of your life to get healthy, to strip off excess weight. And of course, you've been doing a lot of workouts and training. Yeah. But I think it's important to kind of take people on the journey of your lifestyle with you. What have you found that, is no longer relevant for you, but is really important to you in your 30s that has really helped you cope with your busy life, but also really boosted your sense of vitality and energy?
Well, I think for me in my 20s, I didn't care so much. I think that I had like, I guess, priorities which were different from my priorities today. And I think you've got to kind of work around that. I think I was probably going out more, I was probably drinking more, I was probably eating like a lot crazier food and things like that. I just didn't care so much about my health back then. I've always been really fit or have loved sport. Like, I'm someone who, I played a lot of sport at school. I did athletics, touch. I did all these different types of sport at school. Like, I actually wanted to do something in sport when I left school. So it's always been a part of my life, a really big part of my life. But then I think I've just gone through different sort of waves, and sometimes it's a priority, sometimes it's not. But I think now that I'm in my 30s, mid 30s now. So I feel like it's probably more important than actually it has ever been. And I feel like I'm almost at my fittest. So, which is crazy to say, because I feel like I was quite fit back at school. I just think it's become more of a priority now, and I take notice of it more, and I feel the effects of it more. So if I have those days where I'm kind of like, the other day I had cake 2 days in a row, plus chocolate and stuff around that. And I'm not someone who dwells on that. But then I know, I'm like, okay, well, I've had that. I now need to get back on and kind of start eating well again. But I'm also someone who's about balance. So it's kind of like, when it comes to food, I really don't get it down about what I've eaten. I eat chocolate and something naughty every day. And I think that's okay, because it really comes down to taking a holistic approach and about balance. And I really pride myself on balance. And I guess in my 30s, I'm just more aware of what I'm putting into my body, what I'm putting onto my body, and making a conscious decision.
Do you do any kind of tests, or do you see a functional doctor, or do you see a naturopath? Have you had any kind of blood works or DNA testing before?
Yeah, I did do I think it was a genetic testing, DNA testing, because I remember I wanted to find out how many cups of coffee I should be drinking, or I'm allowed to drink with my body type. So it was a number of years ago I did that. And that was the one thing that stood out to me, because it kind of said I should only really be having 1 coffee a day. I think my husband was allowed to have a few more cups of coffee a day.
It's amazing, isn't it? Once you look at it from like a genetic perspective.
Yeah.
What your predisposition to stimulants are, whether that be sugar or, as you said, coffee, or even alcohol, the way you metabolize it. And you don't understand why some things work for you or don't work for you until you get that analysis. I love DNA testing. I completely believe in having all your diagnostics done.
Yeah, I do. I think it is. I should do it again. However, I'm like, when I heard about that coffee, I was like, I'm still going to drink 2 cups of coffee a day. Like, for me, coffee is just one of those things. And I did go, there was about a period of, I think a month almost, that I tried to go decaf. And I was like, I'm going to have decaf. I'm going to like wean myself off coffee. And then I think it was the point where I was just like, you know what? I just love my coffee too much. Even though I probably should be only having 1 cup of coffee a day, I still have 2 at a minimum. Sometimes it's 3. So if anything, I would like to cut it down a bit, but I think I'm always going to drink coffee.
What does your kind of routine look like now in your mid-30s as a mum with your schedule? Tell me, what is do you have a morning ritual for wellness? What does your exercise plan look like in a week? What are the things that you focus on in terms of supplements and eating?
Oh, God. Okay. So every day is different for me. I don't have a strict routine. I don't eat the same every day. It's literally up and down. And I think more so ever than now, because of having my little girl, and her sleep schedule is like totally different as well. Sometimes she could be waking up at 6, sometimes it's 6:30, sometimes it's 7:30. So, and then we alternate, my husband and I, of who's getting up to get her. So there's some days I get a little bit more of a sleep in. I'm normally the one getting up, but so I pretty much feed her and get her ready as a priority, and then I focus on myself. So that's definitely changed, because it used to be just me who I had to look after and worry about, but now it's my little girl. So it's different every day. I actually eat really randomly. Now honey on toast. I don't know if that's right.
You probably need the energy boost, the sugar hit.
Exactly. I love it. And it's weird because my mum also does that. So I think I've probably taken that from her. But I used to, when I did sort of intermittent fasting, I'd have more like my breakfast would be like, it would be more brunch, I guess. So I would combine the lunch and breakfast and just have that one meal without having then another meal later on. And that used to be like sort of avocado, eggs, or like tomatoes and things like that. And that would be sort of, yeah, maybe 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. I now have breakfast, lunch and dinner. And I still do like my sort of breakfast as my lunch. So the poached eggs and things like that. Otherwise, I'll go out and I'll get like a salad from somewhere, have a bit of protein. I try and be pretty good, but in the afternoon, it's always going to be sort of like chocolate and something really sweet.
You drink alcohol? Would you have alcohol in the week, or are you completely off?
To be honest, no, I don't really drink alcohol during the week. I like to save that for when I'm going out, and it will be more when I'm going out with friends or I have an event. I don't know if that's the best way to do things, but for me, it's about, I kind of like celebrating when I have alcohol, I've never really, I don't think I've ever really drunk alcohol during the week, just on a weeknight. If my husband likes to drink,
wait till your daughter gets to about 5, you'll be hitting that wine.
I know.
Wine o'clock comes around real quick.
Yeah. No, I do. I do enjoy a glass of probably more so rosé. I love my rosé. But I also, excuse me, I also try and make healthier choices as well with my alcohol. So if I am out, I'll go for the vodka sodas more so. I still love rosé and I love champagne, but I know there's a limit. So I'm like, okay, I'll have the vodka soda because I know it's a healthier option. But yeah, alcohol, probably more on just days that I'm going out. And then
I would have thought you were so much more strict. I don't know why. I had this impression that you were kind of very regimented with your diet, because you lost a lot of weight from when we first saw you. And you know, as a woman, I understand your body changes so much from your 20s to your 30s. That's hormonal. So often you do lose a lot of weight naturally. But to me, it looked like a massive transformation for you. And I always assumed you were really regimented and strict.
No, I think I just stopped thinking about food and worrying about it. And I remember back in the day when I was never someone who like really just loved to diet or anything like that. But back in the day in my 20s, before Tim, I think I focused on food too much. And I just didn't need to. And then I would be like, oh, maybe I'll go on a diet and I won't eat carbs. And it was just like, that never worked. So for me, I'll always eat carbs. I'm always eating pretty much everything. It's always going to be in moderation. And I just think I'm living a more active lifestyle. So I've got more going on at the moment.
So what do you do for fitness? I mean, we're about to see you on SAS Australia, which is my idea of a nightmare. I watched that show with total fascination for what I would never put my body through. And when I saw the promotional things and they said you're on it, I just went, Mother of God, how is someone willing to put themselves through that? Tell me about that.
Yeah, I know. I kind of probably had the same thoughts initially, but
your agent said you got to do this.
No, like it was without going too much into it. I think I was very much like you, where I was like, there's no way I'm going to do this. And then I had a lot of chats, pretty much mainly with my husband. And then it was more about, okay, what am I going to get out of it mentally? And that was my driving force. So I definitely was like my fittest going in to that. I can't give away too much because I'm not meant to be talking about it, but it was something that I pretty much never thought I would do. So
what was the most challenging part? I'll get off the subject because I know it's still under embargo.
Yeah.
But was there one aspect of it that you thought I would never be able to do? And then you just went, I did it. And it was great.
I think the signing up, and I think that's why people praise the people who go on, because it's the signing up and saying, I can do this, which is probably the biggest thing out of everything. So for me, just coming to terms with actually going into it was huge for me. So, and I basically, however I went, I was like, I'm going to be happy because I'm giving it a go.
I think one of the things that I love about the show is the agelessness of the cast, and the real visual representation that you're never too young and you're never too old. You're never, it really is mind over matter. And that's the thing that I've loved on this discovery of, you know, publishing the magazine and publishing the podcast channel, is that Ageless is entirely an attitude, and overcoming physical obstacles, overcoming mental obstacles, your neuroplasticity. There are so many things that are actually in our own hands and not dictated to, you know, what circumstances we were born into, our genetics or whatever. And one of the other things that I love about the show is you see women mainly who are known for being beautiful and polished, like Erin, for example, and yourself. And, you know, I have to ask myself, would I go on a show that's so hardcore and not wear makeup and look so raw? How did that feel for you?
Well, I knew going in that you weren't going to be able to wear makeup, and I'm someone who has worn makeup pretty much my whole life. So it was one of those things that kind of crossed my mind, but for a split second, because it's so much bigger than just wearing makeup. And for me, I think in life, you're talking about the agelessness. I love that you're going to have people from all different walks of life. They've come from, you've got your athletes, you've got your non-athletes, you've got a complete mix, and you're doing the same things. And in the seasons that have passed, you will see that certain people like flourish, and it doesn't matter what their age is. And I think that's what was so attractive about this show. And it is really raw. It is like, you're just putting yourself out there, and you're just, I don't know, I think everyone just gives it a go. And I love that certain people not do better than the athletes on there, but I think you always expect the athletes are going to do well. And I think it's nice to see the other people who aren't those athletes that are actually doing well. And that's just from the seasons past. So yeah,
it is exciting. And it's exciting to watch, because we all kind of, I guess we embody your energy as we're watching, you know, the contestants go through and thinking, could I do that? Would I be able to get out of my own way to mentally overcome this challenge? Could I get out of my own physical assumptions about my body? And I think, you know, you've done that in your life so many times. It's a natural place for you to kind of flex.
Yeah. And I do think now, just in general for me, I do feel, like I said, better now in my 30s, mid 30s. And as I grow older, I feel like I'm becoming more knowledgeable. I'm more aware of my body and who I am. And I think I'm more happy with that. And I think most people kind of agree. So it's kind of like, I remember when I was younger, and I think maybe I was like 15 or 19 or 18 or in that area, I was a teenager, and I was thinking, oh, 30 is so old. And then you get here and you're like, wait, I'm not old at all. Like, I'm just beginning my life. And I've got so much going on, more so than I ever have. Like, I've got a kid, and I remember being pregnant, I was like, oh, I hope I can still do all the things that I want to be able to do now that I've got a kid and I'm pregnant. Like, will people still want me? And literally, that was just so far from what is the truth. And I just I love it. Like, I'm so excited about life. I'm even starting my own business for the first time in 30 plus years. So like, I'm having the confidence now to do things that I didn't have the confidence of doing back in the day. And it all comes down to mindset.
And it comes to maturity. And there is a time in your life where you kind of make that leap between thinking you're too young or you're too old, and you're in your sweet spot. And I certainly feel, for me, around the time when I had my daughter, I was 36. I'd had my own business since I was 28, but really once I'd seen what my body could do, once I'd had my daughter, once I had the motivation that having a child gives you to really want to give you that burst of energy to actualize your ambitions, it was like a surge of energy.
Yeah, it's crazy, because I honestly, there was a point, I don't know where it was a turning point when I was pregnant, where I was like, far out, like I've got so much ahead of me because I'm going to have a newborn and a child, but I feel like there's like, I want to do more. Like I'm so excited to like, it was like this rebirth for me as well, which was crazy because I literally thought it was going to be the absolute opposite. And I'm like, no, it's so, yeah, it's so exciting.
I can feel it in you, and I think it rings true. One of the things that, you know, you're obviously well known for is your gorgeous skin, your beautiful hair, your style. And I think that, you know, is an important part of anyone's presentation. You know, on Rescu, I always talk about style, substance, success. And I don't think that you can ignore the style element, which is, you know, our outward face to the world. And certainly we've seen your style and your your outward face to the world develop. I would like to know, you know, how do you look after your skin? Do you have treatments? I know that you're an ambassador for Olay, so it's obviously part of your skincare routine. I'm going to get you to tell us all the things that you do for your skin. But I'd also love you to let us know, you know, what other treatments you have. You know, do you have laser? Do you have any ultrasound treatments for lifting and firming? Have you tried body treatments? Do you have facials? What do you do to look after your skin, and how has that changed?
Yeah. So I actually don't get a whole lot of stuff done. I've never had filler. I've never had Botox.
Really never. Wow.
Never, like absolutely amazing. I think my husband would kill me. So look, I'm never going to say never because I never want this, like this is going to be out there. But right now and in the near future, I'm not getting it because I feel I'm really happy with how I look and not from a superficial point. But I think I've just come to terms that you've only got sort of one body, one face. And I don't think you need to compare yourself to others and constantly feel like you want to look like others. So,
well, that's a big shift. I mean, considering that you came onto our collective consciousness in a show that compared you literally to others in every single way. Yeah. So that's a big mental shift, right?
Oh yeah. And I remember that first day and I went in and I always remember this because I called my mum because we had our phone for, I think another like 5 minutes or something. And I was like, Mum, everybody's models. Like, oh, what do I do? Like, this is going to be like, he's not going to like me. And I just remember that mindset. I wasn't negative, but I just like, I did compare myself to others. And I think, look, it's not perfect now, but I do feel like that's a progression as you get older. You just learn to love yourself more and who you are. And I've got good role models when it comes to things like that. Like my mum, she also has never had anything. So she's like, yeah, no filler, no Botox, nothing like that. So I think people like that, when you've got role models like that in your life, you kind of want to be a little bit more like that. And you know, it's okay. Like my mum looks incredible for her age. So it definitely has changed. And I think I definitely compared myself a lot more to others. And look, there are days when I still do, like, and it's kind of like I see these people, I was like, oh, they look really good. Like, have they had something done? Like, should I? And then I'm like, nah, like I'm fine. So I definitely, like I said, I'm more of like a holistic approach when it comes to things. Like I've had facials and things like that. I did do some stuff like years and years ago with Clear and Brilliant. So I did that for
I love that laser.
Yeah, so that was great. But it's not like something I'm continuing on doing. And I just feel like sometimes I'm a little bit lazy when it comes to my skincare. Like I like to keep it at a minimum. So anything that I can do, and I like it's what I put in my body. So the food that I put in my body, and also what I put on my body, which comes down to sort of my skincare regime, the creams that I put on it.
What do you put on your skin? Let's go there.
So basically I've learned to take off my makeup. And I think, I don't know if I spoke to you about this back in the day, but I was someone when I was really, really young, there were nights when I'd go out and I'd just leave my makeup on. I would literally leave my eyeshadow on the next day. And I'm like, oh, it still looks fine. I'll just like continue putting like my makeup on around it and just like adding on to it. I do not do that now. Sometimes I don't take my makeup off as best as I should, but I think you really should take off your makeup at night. But so I cleanse, I take off my makeup at night, and then what I'm using. So as you mentioned, I'm an Olay ambassador and I have been an Olay ambassador for a number of years now. And what I love about being an Olay ambassador, I do get to trial out a number of different products and work out what's best for me. Because like I said, I don't want to put a lot on my face. And I think that's really important for people not to like apply. Well, look, each to their own, but for me, I'm like, I keep it at a minimum. So at the moment, I'm using their collagen peptide.
I was about to say, is it the collagen range? Yeah.
Yes. So it's like they've got a serum, an eye cream, and one in a red jar, which is the one I'm using, just the one in the red jar at the moment. So I put it on at morning and night. Sometimes it's just at night, but it kind of gives you that glowing morning skin. And I don't know if you've tried it out, but as soon as you put it on your skin, it feels like velvet, and it lasts for 24 hours. So I also ingest collagen as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, do you take collagen supplements?
Yeah, so I have been over the last probably last year and a half, and I love taking it. But I also, so when it comes to the skincare, and I saw that Olay had a collagen cream, I was like, okay, the one thing I learned about collagen is that it's got to be absorbed. And I don't know if you know much about bioavailability and
absolutely
absorption.
And that's the difference. You have to understand it.
Exactly. So kind of, I wasn't skeptical about the Olay one, but I was like, okay, like, does this work? So maybe a little bit skeptical. And then the one thing that I've learned from the Olay range is that it actually penetrates the skin 40% deeper than other creams out there. So because they've created this formula, which
it's the microencapsulation as well, which is great.
Yeah. And so that was one big thing with me, because I was like, I'm not going to, like, I've heard that it doesn't, when you put it on your skin, it's not being absorbed as well as it should be. So that's what's so great about this Olay range. And but I also will still take my collagen, my powder, and I do it in combination. And I think that's what's really great about like what I do. It's not like I just use one. I think you've got to focus on the food you eat. So I try and eat foods full of antioxidants. So like blueberries, nuts, broccoli, like all that sort of stuff. Like, I think it's important.
Do you take antioxidant supplements as well?
No.
I use any antioxidant serums in addition to what you're using with Olay? Are there other things you do for your skin, or is it pretty basic?
I take my makeup off and I use a cream at night. They do also, you probably know, they do have their facial masks as well.
I like the peel. The Olay peel is one of my favorite.
Really?
That thing is like professional. It is the same as getting a microdermabrasion for me. It works. Yeah. I've told Michael Brown, I think you know him. He's been on the show as well, and he's a friend of mine. And I've said to him that peel is seriously good.
Yeah. And the thing about Olay is they have been around for so long,
and they
have the best scientists. Yes, exactly. So you want to go to people, and you were saying that you talk to scientists and things, but most people who are buying products aren't scientists. They want to have trust in someone. And I think that's the most important thing. I trust them. And that's the most important when it comes to skincare. And you know that they've been around, they've got those people behind them, and they're doing sort of the best for your skin. But also they've got a full different range of, like, so I've got quite sensitive skin. So I've got to make sure that my products go with sensitive skin. So I think that's really important as well, knowing your skin and what products are going to be right for your skin.
Definitely. Now, you've got beautiful bright teeth, and one of the things that always comes up in Ageless is smile care is a massive category. Like, if you want to have an instant transformation of your face, get your teeth sorted out, at least brighten them.
Yeah. So, well, look, I'm no longer an LA ambassador, but I'm still a massive advocate for their products. Like, I still use their
Oral-B, you mean?
Yes, sorry, for Oral-B. Yes. Yeah. So I absolutely love their product. I still recommend their products. They had the strips when we were talking. I don't know if they had the newest, the new ones, which actually stick on your teeth a lot better than the older ones. But if you want that sort of instant white glow, for me, I still use that. I don't use it like regularly, like every week or every day. It's more like, oh, I've got something coming up, I might use it a couple of days before going in, but I can instantly see that.
And did you get any kind of dental work as well post, coming on the show, because you have such beautiful straight teeth as well, and I've got pregnancy sometimes changes your teeth.
Yeah, my teeth down the bottom aren't completely straight. I don't know. Not that they're not completely straight, but I've kind of like learned my teeth up the top are really straight. I've never had braces or anything like that. But I've kind of tried to like learn to love those little imperfections where sometimes I actually smile and this front tooth here is like a little bit more raised than my other one. In the images, you can sometimes see it. So like my sister's noticed it on certain things. She's like, oh, your tooth, like it looks like it's coming out a lot more. I'm like, yeah, I know. But anyway, I'm just trying to roll with it, you know. I like to whiten them, but not often. So you've got beautiful teeth.
Thank you. I've had all sorts of dental work when I was little, and I have an awesome dentist, and I get them. I'm obsessed with, you know, my toothpaste and all of that. I think it makes such a difference to how you appear to the world, and it's great for your health. It's good for gut health to have good, happy teeth.
And also flossing. I think that was one thing back in the day. I was like, flossing, I'll do that once a year. Now it's like, I'll do it all the time. I think it's really important to floss.
It's a really important health decision to make.
Yes, exactly.
What do you do for exercise? I mean, obviously you've got Tim. I think I went to an event with Swiss years ago in Melbourne, and Tim was leading the fitness component of we were away on a retreat. But has he been your inspiration for getting really fit, or do you have a trainer that you go to together? We live down the road from each other, so I see you guys with the pram doing, you know, the Rose Bay walk all the time.
So obviously since becoming a mum, so there was pre-pregnancy, I was doing step classes, I was doing pump classes, I was playing a lot of tennis, I was working out with my husband, doing boxing and things like that. It definitely changed when I was pregnant. I did do step classes and pump classes up until about, I think, 7 or 8 months being pregnant.
Oh, wow.
And then afterwards, I had to kind of stop that because I was getting way too big. But I did reformer, prenatal reformer throughout my entire pregnancy. And it was the first time I actually got into reformer because I'd never done it before. And everyone's like, reformer's amazing. I was like, oh, should I do it? Okay, I'll do it. And I kind of haven't looked back. There was a time when, due to COVID, everything was shut. So I was like, okay, I can't do reformer. I'm just going to do lots of walks. And I literally went back to reformer for the first time since the COVID lockdowns on, I think it was like 2 days ago. So I'm so excited to be back. I try and do a mix of things. So constantly walking. I'm starting to get back into running as well. It's not something I love doing. Oh, no, sorry. I do love doing when I've basically finished it. But I do, I'm trying to like learn to love it more because I see the effects it has on my body and how good I feel afterwards. But I do try and do just a real sort of mix of workouts and whatever I can do, but just always constantly trying to stay as active as possible.
Do you think that going on SAS changed the way you understood the physicality and the strength that you didn't know about your body?
I think throughout my life, I constantly like, there are times where I'm like, holy hell, like, how did I do that? Like, even giving birth, I'm kind of like, wow, I can't believe my body could actually do that. I couldn't, even pregnancy, just throughout my life and the different stages you go in life and you push yourself at different stages and you kind of like, you're in awe of your body. And I think more so than any other time was when I was pregnant. And now, because I was like, I've actually been pregnant, I've given birth, and I can now feel fitter than I have sort of ever felt. So I think, but it's different, like every stage of my life. And like, you could talk to me in 5 years and I could feel fitter than I do now. Or I could be going through a period where I'm like, I don't feel great, but I know that I can get there. And I think that's the most important thing. And we've spoken a lot about mindset, but it really comes down to the mindset and knowing that you can do it. And that's the most important thing. And I've always struggled with my mindset. I've always been a little bit negative, being like, I can't do it. And that's in all aspects of my life. But
really, that's not how you come across. It seems the exact opposite. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so funny. Like, a lot of people say that, where I'm like, I actually, in all aspects of my life, and even with my new business, I was like, I never wanted to start a business because I was like, oh, is anyone even going to buy this? Like, why would they buy it off me? And I always had that, like, yeah, I guess negative mindset, which I don't have as much now, but it's still there. And I'm always trying to just gradually get better and learn more about myself and knowing that I can do it. And it's always about, yeah, being positive.
Do you do any meditation or work on neuroplasticity, on, recalibrating your wellness through your mindset? Do you do any specific work around that?
So it's funny, before I met Tim, I was like, not against meditation, but I was someone like I just didn't think it really worked. And Tim is someone
it only really works if you do it.
Yeah, exactly. And because in my mindset, I was like, yeah, it doesn't work. I'm not going to like put in the effort. And then I might do it for 5 minutes. I'm like, yeah, see, it doesn't really work. So understanding it. And once again, thankfully, to my husband, who explains things and pushes me out of my comfort zone and to do different things. He's kind of, I don't do meditation all the time, but there are definitely days where I'll do it, or I'll just sit down and I'll do breathing techniques, or just relax and try and get rid of everything that's surrounding me, all the white noise, and just try and kind of get back to my center. I'm not someone who meditates every day or anything like that, but I'm just becoming more, I guess, aware of it, more knowledgeable about things that can help. I definitely like to get a few massages, and they're the things I like to do when I want to sort of relax and I don't know, just like, I guess, chill out and also take time away. As much as I love my little girl, just have those moments where I can have to myself, and also long walks. So I think that's sort of getting out in that fresh air, and getting outside is hugely important. So that's one of those things for me, is like getting outside, fresh air. We're lucky to live near some water. So it's just like kind of getting there, getting beside the water or even in the water to kind of clear your mind.
What about as a couple, or rather as a family now, but more since your baby's still a baby?
Yeah.
Do you kind of think about wellness and longevity and energy and vitality as a duo, or are each of you and Tim doing your own optimized lifestyle choices, or are you doing them together? Because
No.
I've actually interviewed, a couple of people that really do it as a couple, Snez and Sam Wood, very much. It's a lifestyle for both of them. It makes it easier. I was speaking to Candace Warner, and she and her husband are very much about, this is our household lifestyle, and this is our household longevity wellness goal. What do you and Tim do? Because you're both kind of in that space.
I think it definitely is. It is teamwork when it comes to health, fitness, wellness, and all of that, because you are living in the same space. So I think definitely I bounce off him, and I hope he bounces off me when it comes to that sort of thing. Probably not so much me, but I think we learn from each other, and we want to sort of instill that knowledge and that sort of environment onto our little girl. So it is definitely something where we do as a team and together, because we are eating the same meals and we make those choices together. However, I think you've also got to have it from a personal level, because if Tim's not here, I've got to make those decisions of how I want to feel. So as much as we do things together and we eat together and we make those choices together, I think it also comes down to the individual choices, and knowing you could go off for a couple of months, 3, whatever it is, and you know that you can kind of continue that on, whether or not,
because it's in your kind of, it's your desire to live that life.
Exactly. And I think one great thing about Tim and I is that we're a great team, but we're also good on our own and feel like we can live on our own. Like, it's not like Tim was living in Melbourne when he was on Neighbours for about 2 years. So he would just come back on the weekends. And so I had to make that decision. I could be upset about it. I could feel like I'm constantly wanting him, and it's not the best situation for me or the family or anything, but I just made the choice to live a good life. He's over there, he's doing what he loves. And we see each other, thankfully, every weekend. So I just kind of said, okay, this is my lifestyle decision. I think it really comes down to the individual person. But then you can sort of marry up and work together as a team as well.
But it does make a lot of sense, because, I've been in a relationship before where our approach to health was vastly different. And, you know,
Yeah.
you're kicking a grown man in the butt saying, hey,
Yeah.
we need to go for a walk. Hey, put down the ice cream. Hey, you're probably 30 kilos heavier than you need to be, and you're a heart attack candidate.
Yeah.
And it gets really exhausting because
Yeah.
you're living, and health and wellness, like money, are very interesting things that are, you know, core to who you are. And it's really difficult if you're having a relationship with someone whose values on those key life skills are different. So it's always interesting to me that the most beautiful couples, the couples that are shining the brightest, that are really, you know, beacons of wellness and, I guess, togetherness, they often share the same health goals and the same vitality goals, and they want to model that great lifestyle and behavior for their children. That's a huge motivator. So for me, it's interesting to kind of tell that story from the perspective of the couple. But I am also really interested in that, you know, you're saying really clearly you guys are not codependent. You both have an individual drive for yourselves, but when you come together, there's a value that you place on being healthy, vital, fit.
Yeah. Exactly. And I really do think it comes down to the decisions you make. If you are working as a team, it really comes back then. It's because you want to, deep down, you want to be fit, you want to be healthy, you want to be living your best life, and you want to be the greatest mum for your daughter, or greatest partner, or whatever it is. Like, so I do think it'll always come back to yourself. And if you're not happy, it's no one else around you. It's you.
Definitely. Tell me, who inspires you, Anna? Because you inspire so many people. You know, you're an influencer, you're on social media, you've got a very big public profile, both you and your husband, Tim. But who inspires you? You mentioned your mum, but are there any other people that you've met through your work, or you've seen or admire from afar?
Definitely my husband. I've spoken a lot about him, but he's someone who I feel like is almost totally different from me, totally, especially initially, it was total opposite of me. And I feel like I've just learned so much from him. But there's never ever one person. I think it's really important you surround yourself with a lot of uplifting, positive people. And I draw on things every day from different people. And I think that's super important. It's not like you have this one person on a pedestal.
I agree.
Yeah. And I think every day I'm trying to learn something, and it's normally from other people that I encounter. And that could just be the person that's serving you your coffee. And I think it's really important. The one thing I've learned over time, well, actually, probably I feel like I've known that, but just about being kind to one another, and the importance of that, and how it can make you feel, but also how it can make others feel. And I really do feel like I learn from everybody that I surround myself with.
In the I guess in the showbiz industry, you know, you're lucky enough to come across stylists and makeup artists and hairdressers and fitness experts or whatever. Have you met any people who've just given you the best tip that you made your own, that you really do, particularly in the context of Ageless? Is, you know, is there a makeup thing that always makes you feel like you've had a glow up? Is there you know, a fitness or a beauty hack or a style hack that, you know, takes you from feeling like you've just been cleaning poop to ready to do a red carpet?
You look, I don't think there's one person, but what comes to mind is I've like, so this is kind of back in the day a bit more so, but like I'd put on an outfit, and there were days where I feel like so fabulous. I'm like, oh, I'm killing it at life. Like I'll go out, I'll have the best day or best night or whatever I'm doing. And then I can put on that same exact outfit, look exactly the same, and feel the total opposite. And I'll go out and I'll feel like, oh, I just don't feel good. I don't look good. This dress doesn't look nice. And it just shows the power of the mind and how important that is. And it shows you could look exactly the same on one day and feel a certain way, and then look exactly the same on the next day, but feel like a totally different person. So I think you've got to remember that, and remember it always comes back to your mind and how you think of yourself and how you think of the world, and know that if you aren't feeling great, you can take yourself back to feeling great, but it comes back to like your mind. And that's really with everything, with wellness, health, it's always going to come back to that. So
do you have a go-to beauty look that always makes you feel like you look radiant and healthy and like you've had your 8 hours sleep?
I actually take a lot of magnesium. I didn't talk about this before, but for me, sleep is the most important thing of all time. Basically, I know when I've had a good sleep, I not only look good, I feel good. You can take on the day. You can, when it comes to sleep, you can do like, I don't know, a workout and not do as well at that workout if you haven't had a great night's sleep. So basically sleep comes down to everything. So,
and from an ageless perspective, I mean, it literally can slow down the aging process. It can reverse the aging process. Exactly. It affects all your biomarkers, all your hormones. So you're right. Yeah. It is the most important aspect of beauty and wellness.
Yeah. But when I haven't had a great night's sleep, like I said, I wear makeup every day, but I always do sort of like, not the bare minimum, but I just do the basics. So I'll always have my like foundation. I love my foundation. I think I spoke about this probably when we had our interview 4 or 5 years ago, where I've always had lashes on, always like my lash extensions. And I've been getting that since I was, I think, 18 pretty much. So I feel like I wake up, I can come out of the water and I still look pretty fabulous, I think, when I've got my lashes on. But it's always like, I kind of do the same thing, but it's always quite basic. And it's just like those few products that I put on every day. I like to wear my hair up. Sometimes I like to wear it down, but I don't have, it's never strict. It's never like, I'm not going to look good if I haven't done this a certain way. Like, I think that's where mindset once again comes into play.
If you could go back to the Anna that we met on The Bachelor, on the first episode of The Bachelor, what would you tell her with regards to what she can expect to feel and see herself as after the Anna who's just finished SAS Australia, who's become a mother, who got married to her Prince Charming in Italy, who's had this huge career outside of law, which is where you started? What would you say to her about what's coming up?
I think that it's going to be okay and that you are good enough. And I think if I could tell anyone who doesn't feel like they're good enough, that they actually are, and to believe in yourself more so. And I want to make sure that my girl knows, if I'm saying that she is good enough and to believe in herself, I want to truly believe in that myself. So I think it all comes down to self-belief, really. And I don't think I had self-belief back then. I have a lot of it now. I'm still working on it, and I think I'll be working on it for the rest of my life. But I definitely believe in myself a lot more, and I'm more.
And confident. If you could time travel and go forward into your mid-40s, where would you like to be as a woman, as a mother, as a wife, as a businesswoman?
I think who I am now, but almost not better, but more like love myself more. I feel like that's probably the most important thing, is just being like that gradual transformation of loving yourself more. And I'm actually at I'm loving life at the moment. I'm in a really good stage, and I just want to still be here later on, but improve on little bits, more self-belief, loving myself more, all those things just gradually. I feel like things are pretty good now, and I am loving myself. As much as I hate saying that, I'm like, I do.
It's I wish we could have more conversations with people and speak to our girls and our boys and our partners and say, right now I'm really loving myself. Imagine if you could wake up and say that to your husband, today I'm really loving myself. I woke up feeling amazing. I'm really proud of my achievements. I like who I am. I like who I'm becoming. They're really nice conversations to have.
Yeah. And you do, and I do feel like I want to tell everyone who's at school or just starting to work out who they are. But sometimes it's like that life progression, and you've got to work it out for yourself. You've got to go through all those things to then get to that point and go, you know what, like I'm in my 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and I'm loving myself more than I ever have. And I do think that's only something you can learn. Like, you can hear everybody say it. You can see all these things on social media, read all these quotes, but it really comes down to you and your experiences and how you take certain things from people and the world, and how you use it as a benefit to yourself.
My mother told me about 15 years ago that she speaks to herself in the mirror, and she compliments herself and tells her hands that they're nice hands and her skin is beautiful. And she said, you can't always get that outside validation, so you have to give it to yourself. And she said to me, I really want you to start doing this. And I thought to myself, the last thing my mum, who's super confident, needs to be doing is telling herself in the mirror how much she loves herself and how nice her hands are. But I have to say, over the past 3 or 4 years, I have done a lot of work on mirror work and self-talk. And certainly in a time of, when you're not feeling energized or fresh, it is such, as you said, it's so important to fix that mindset. And,
Yes.
I teach my daughter the same thing. And I find myself telling her, look in the mirror, Lily, tell yourself you're enough, admire the things that you like about yourself rather than laser beaming on the things you don't like about yourself. So I love what you were saying about mindset and being happy where you are and telling yourself you're happy where you are. And it's one of the reasons.
And it's funny because back in the day, like for me, maybe 10 years ago, I probably would have laughed at that, going, I would never say that to myself, or I'd never look in the mirror and say that because people think I'm arrogant. But nowadays that I've learned so much more, I'm like, you know what, it's okay. And it's not arrogance at all. It's kind of like just telling yourself you're good enough because you are. And I think it really is important to do that. And I think that's a great sort of tip for people to look at yourself and know who you are, but be okay with who you are and compliment yourself.
Well, that is why we've had you on the show, because you are the very definition of an ageless muse. We've seen your development on our screens, and I guess with celebrities or people that we're interested in, we think we know them so well. So that's why I wanted to have you on the show, because I think you do walk your talk, and it's been absolutely wonderful being able to learn a little bit more about where you're at. And I look forward to checking in with you in a few years' time as well. And congratulations on everything. Can't wait to see what you launch in your business.
Okay, I'm excited. Well, it's in the health and wellness industry because you'll love it. So I'll let you know very shortly.
We'll have you back. We'll have you back to launch.
For sure. All right. Thank you so much.
It was wonderful to see you again. Bye, Anna. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, please share and rate this episode. I'd love that.